There we are, Susan Michel, live on YouTube. This mic is all yours.
Hi, this is Susan Michel. I am here in Western Massachusetts. It is great to be here as always. I am the author of Surrender to Joy, From Suicide to Serenity. I teach the transformational truth of A Course in Miracles, which we are all here to study, to learn, to embody the knowledge of. I have my good friend and soul sister, Myrna Skoller from Boca Raton, Florida, here with me as well. Myrna is the author of Private Lessons with Jesus, based on A Course in Miracles, a perfect complement to A Course in Miracles workbook for students. My good friend and soul sister, how are you, Myrna? You have your mute on.
Yeah, that's better. Yes, everything is wonderful despite the consistent rainfall that we've had in Florida. It really makes no difference. I managed to run between the raindrops and walk and do some outside activities in between. But it's really it's always beautiful, really. Every day is wonderful.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know it was raining in Florida. Here, I think rain is expected for today, but the weather has been perfect in Massachusetts. Nice and cool in the morning, so I get a good run in. And then midday, it's up to about 75, and then the evening gets cool again. So it's really the perfect weather time of the year. And I think a couple days ago was the first day of fall. So the leaves will soon start to change color.
Mhm.
And it's all good. As our good friend Sherry always says, it's all good. It's all coming together and it's all good. So I will start with the introduction of my book. As I usually do, what I write is I write, my passion is God. God is love and joy and beauty. He is all that is good in the world. Everything else is our own miscreation. When we are filled with joy, we are connected to God. When we are not joyful, we have lost our connection with all that is real. This is my message. It can be clarified with three simple words: surrender to joy. There is nothing to find. All we need to do is surrender. Surrender to the love that is always available to us from within. Where we start going wrong is when we look to the world to satisfy us. That just leads to one disappointment after another. And, also the truth is, even if we find what we want in the world or what we think we need from the world, the the happiness that we attain from that worldly good is fleeting. It does not last. It's temporal. God's love, on the other hand, what our soul is truly searching for, is eternal. It is always with us, and what A Course in Miracles is teaching us to do, again, not search for anything in the world, but to remember how much love is available to us at each and every moment, because God is within us. God is something that we are a part of. And I think what is essential in terms of connecting to this love, to this peace, love, joy, and happiness, is definitely slowing down. That insight came to me this morning, because sometimes I have a tendency to jump out of bed, skip my meditation, and move too fast. But I know to slow down and to be fully present in whatever moment you are in. fully present in the moment is just a wonderful way to connect to God. So I hear, Myrna, that you have gotten into a little meditation practice. I am back in my meditation practice, not as consistent as I was a year ago, but I'm still back into my meditation practice. And when I make time to meditate in the morning, it's just really transformational. Um, so are you meditating each morning now, Myrna?
A lot. Not only meditating, but getting answers. And here we come to the place where I speak directly to Spirit. I like to call Holy Spirit Jesus, particularly, and that's the go-to person I always talk about. He's always there. He's certainly familiar with my queries, my ideas, my thoughts, my the outward picture of an inward condition that I often see and sort of create um, from fear, so to speak. And I had a talk with him the other day about loneliness, what loneliness is, because at times I do feel lonely, even though there's no reason to feel lonely. The Course in Miracles says we're never alone. And I managed to go back to my early childhood where it all began for the most part, because I connect the feeling of loneliness uh, the way I felt to when I was a young child. My father died when I was 3 years old. I was left with my grandmother, who really barely spoke English, and she was very sick most of the time. And I remember feeling very, very lonely. So when those feelings come up, even now at times, there's a lot going on in my life. Why do I kind of uh, sort of come into the idea, focus into the feeling, I should say, of fear, which is loneliness. So when I had this discussion with Jesus, the answer that I got was, give up the dream of loneliness. Give up the dream of loneliness. And I realized it's all a dream. It really is. It proved to me that what I'm doing is I'm dreaming. I'm inviting that feeling in. That feeling that is really based on fear is coming from a place that truly doesn't exist, that I'm creating. And those words alone, that direct conversation that I had with Jesus about this pointed me to the truth that I have to give up the dream of loneliness. And it was really very interesting, because not only did those words resonate like never before. This happened about, I'd say, maybe 10 days ago. And I've really kind of been, anytime a thought comes into my head, into my mind, any past thought relating to that or anything else based on fear, um, I just won't entertain it. I have no need for that thought. That's the thing I recite to myself, the affirmation. I have no need for this. I have no need for this. So between giving up the dream of fear and saying I have no need for this, the combination of the two works miracles. It really does. And it works. It really does. When you're really ready to give up something wholeheartedly, it does come to pass.
Yeah. Um, I was listening to Course in Miracles prior to our talk today, again on Audible, and I was re-listening to the one of the parts of A Course in Miracles that talks about fear and conflict. And it's really, obviously I've listened to this section so many times, but each time I listen to it, I seem to understand it at a deeper level. I mean, what Jesus writes here in the first sentence, he writes, being afraid seems to be involuntary, something beyond your own control. Yet I have said already that only constructive acts should be involuntary. My control can take over everything that does not matter, while my guidance can direct everything that does. Fear cannot be controlled by me, but it can be self-controlled. So Jesus can't take our fear away from us without our permission. We need to desire to let that fear go. I think, so many of us in this world find a certain amount of safety um, under the umbrella of the ego. It has something to do with being a victim. I am a victim of circumstances, and there's something comforting about being a victim, like the world owes me. But that is definitely not of God. And again, God cannot take that victim consciousness away from us. We need to want to eradicate it. We need to give it over to the Holy Spirit so he can help us see life clearly. So it says here, fear cannot be controlled by me, but it can be self-controlled. So we can eradicate our fear. But again, we have free will in this earthly classroom, and we need to desire to release it. We need to desire to eradicate it. We have free choice, and our thoughts are up to us. The egoic thoughts bring us pain. Thoughts of the spirit bring us joy. So it's very important to be aware of what we're thinking, and also to be aware of how our thoughts make us feel, because thoughts of God are going to bring peace to our mind and to our heart. Thoughts of the ego are going to bring angst to our mind and our heart. And then the next line of this paragraph says, fear prevents me from giving you my control. So fear is like a cloud surrounding the sun. Fear is blocking my mind from the truth of who I am. Fear is blocking my mind from God's mind. So when I go into a fearful state, when I go into a state of victim consciousness, I just do not know the truth of who I am. And then I have a few sentences in this section highlighted and underlined and starred, because I've read this section over so many times. It's really fascinating. I mean, here at the end of the next paragraph, Jesus writes, whenever you are afraid, it is a sure sign that you have allowed your mind to miscreate and have not allowed me to guide it. I mean, think of that. Whenever we are afraid, how often are we afraid throughout the day? Most people are afraid, gosh, I would guess hundreds of times each day, right? But whenever we are afraid, we are not trusting God, because God resides in a state of perfect peace. God resides in a state of peace, love, joy, and happiness. So whenever we are afraid, we are not allowing God to guide our mind. That's why we need to become aware, of our thoughts and our feelings. So when we are feeling fear, again, a big way out of that fear is to pray. I recognize that my thoughts are not aligned with yours, dear God, please help me to release them. He can't take away our fear. It says that right here in A Course in Miracles. But when we will to realign ourselves with the truth of who we are, the Holy Spirit can support us in realigning ourselves with the power of love. And the last couple lines that I will read here in this section about fear is Jesus writes, the correction of fear is your responsibility. When you ask for release from fear, you are implying that it is not. So if I'm asking God for release from fear, I'm implying that it's not my responsibility, but it is my responsibility. And then he writes, you should ask instead for help in the conditions that have brought the fear about. These conditions always entail a willingness to be separate. So when we are afraid, just like you brought up, a few minutes ago, Myrna, you're feeling lonely. It says it's, and so many times I'm feeling lonely as well. We all feel lonely during the day, I'm sure. And it says here that the reason that we are feeling fearful, the reason that we're feeling lonely is because we think we're separate. We think we're alone. But we need to remember that we are never alone. God is always with us. And it's something that is available to us. Again, A Course in Miracles says we are much too tolerant in mind wandering. We are much too tolerant of mind wandering. A Course in Miracles is teaching us to just be aware of what's going on internally, so we can align ourselves with the truth of who we are, which is love, right, Myrna?
Yes, everything you said resonated because that's exactly what I had been feeling, really. The feelings of fear and being aware of those feelings made me recognize that you're right. I'm the only one responsible for those feelings, and I'm the only one that can get myself away from the feeling of separation, which is exactly what it is, and bring me into the consciousness of wholeness, of God love. And it's really not that hard to do. To me, it became something of a practice. I think the more we practice it, the easier it gets because it's an addiction. I think fear thoughts that come up every single day is really an addiction. They come up all the time, constantly. And one of the questions I asked Jesus was just that, why am I constantly getting these fear thoughts or hate thoughts or past thoughts that really don't bring me any peace or comfort? And the simple answer was, all you need to say is, I have no need of these thoughts. I have no need of these thoughts. And I've been doing that every single time. And I've been doing that along with this, as I mentioned before, feelings of loneliness also stem from fear. So by my understanding that I had to give up the dream of fear and to keep unwarranted thoughts away from my thinking, what was to get away from the addiction. And I find now that every single time any thought comes into my head that doesn't bring me peace or that's not welcome, all I have to do is say, I have no need of this thought. I have no need of this thought. And it immediately disperses. And not only that, but I immediately recognize that I forgot what the thought was. I forgot every single thought I had where I said, I have no need of these thoughts or this thought. I don't even remember what the thought is within 5-10 minutes later. So think about that. I mean, these thoughts really are not just given to us or not just coming on at random. I mean, these thoughts are really welcomed in. I realize that I am welcoming or accepting every one of those thoughts that come into my mind that do not belong there or does not belong there. So I've really done a lot of soul searching these last couple of weeks. When I started meditating, developing the quiet in my mind, and also asking for direction, which we tend not to do. I've been doing it. I've always done that. When it comes to my conversations with Jesus, obviously I have, because I wrote the book Private Lessons with Jesus, which he certainly helped me with along the way, to create this book and to write the book. So my conversations with Jesus sometimes fall by the wayside, but lately I've been getting into the practice of now asking when something bothers me. But I think that over the last 2 weeks, I've been really consistently feeling much, much more at peace. I really have. It works. When we give it a conscious effort to do something, and we do it without letting fear cloud the way before us, then it is that much easier. And for me, I honestly like to boast about it because it's been working. I'm very, very happy with the results. And one more thing I just wanted to say, that, the Course in Miracles does say, as you said before, the world I see is an outward picture of an inward condition. So, the external reality we perceive is not independent, objective truth, but rather a projection of our own internal thoughts, beliefs, emotional states. And which is very, I'm just reading this, but it's very true. I'll go on to read one more paragraph. Our mind, through the process of projection, creates the world we experience. Therefore, to change the world, we must change our mind by shifting our perception from fear to love and forgiveness, as the external world will then reflect this inner transformation. And that's what it's all about. Right, Susan?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Um, like you said, it's so important to be aware of what goes on in your mind. And I love that you said that if there is a thought in your mind that causes angst or fear or unrest, all you need to do is let it go. Just release that thought. You don't need to fight against it, because if you're fighting against it, you're giving it power. But all you need to do is become aware of it, because we can't release what we're not aware of. But if we have a thought in our minds that is causing us angst, all we need to do is identify it and then release it. And it just happens so often that these fear-based thoughts come into our mind. I mean, just this morning I was actually feeling very good first thing in the morning, and I was slowing down and I was taking my time. And there's a friend of mine who I haven't spoken to for a while, and I'm like, I think I'm going to reach out and let her know how much I love her. And so I sent this text and I felt good about it. And then as time passed and she didn't respond to my text, I started to feel not as good as I did originally, because she didn't respond to my text. But that again is a fear-based thought. It is not bringing peace to my mind. I know that this one particular friend doesn't always respond immediately when I reach out to her. And, it's okay, because when you think of it, no one else can take away my peace or my love or my joy or my happiness. The only person that can take away that peace is me. And whenever I extend love, that's when I'm going to feel the truth of who I am. And it's not about receiving, or getting what I think I want from the world. It's about extending God's love to my brother. And again, no matter how my brother reacts or responds to my extension of love, that does not it cannot affect me. And it's really, nothing that I can control. So it's very important to let that go. I know whenever I can embody the essence of innocence, when I can feel the innocence within myself, and I can see the innocence in my brother, that is what is going to bring peace to my mind. I was listening again to Course in Miracles on Audible, and it was talking about the lion and the lamb, like of the analogy of the lion, the strength of the lion laying next to the innocence of the lamb is telling us that true strength is the same as pure innocent, because it's the innocent that are really strong, because the innocent mind does not know fear, because the two thought systems are diametrically opposed. So when I am in a state of innocence, when I have released any and all guilt, that's when I can feel the truth of who I am. So it doesn't matter how someone responds to me. It all has to do with just extending God's love, which is my love, to the best of my ability, and then letting that go. I just love that analogy of the lion being the strength of the true strength of the lion, our true strength, our strength that comes from God is in our innocence. Because when we embody our own innocence, when we release any guilt, we are able to feel God's peace. And again, that is just such a joy-filled state of mind to reside in. And I know, I mean, the world is run on the egoic thought system. And throughout the day, there's so many times when guilt comes into my mind. But when I take the time to develop certain practices throughout the day, it just makes my mind stronger. Like, I think prayer for me is very effective. I did that this morning. I prayed, and I gave my will over to God, to Christ. I asked him to guide my day. Meditation is very important, and to say certain affirmations. I think the Course in Miracle lesson of the day is very helpful and supportive. Today's lesson is actually lesson number 266, I believe. I believe today is the 266th day of 2025. And the subject for today is my holy self, with a capital S, abides in you, God's Son. And then I'm going to read the second paragraph, actually. The second paragraph of lesson 266 states, "This day we enter into paradise, calling upon God's name and on our own, acknowledging ourself in each of us, united in the holy love of God. How many saviors God has given us? How can we lose the way to him when he has filled the world with those who point to him and given us the sight to look on them? So we are all a part of the sonship, and we can look to our brother to help us get back into heaven, which is our true state of mind. Heaven is within each and every one of us, but it's really important to be aware of what we focus on in our brother. Are we focusing in our brother's innocence? That's bringing us close to heaven, home to heaven, or are we focusing on his guilt? That is just pushing heaven away and bringing us closer to hell. So it's really important to focus on, embody our own innocence and focus on the innocence within everyone that we come across. Right, Myrna?
Yes, yes, that's right. Well, that's what the lion, the lamb, and the lion lying down. To me, that represents a universal peace, eventual universal peace, where we get to get where we become united with our brothers, where the lion, the strength, and the innocent can come together as one. The lion lying down with the lamb, and you hear a lot about that when you listen to various different scripture, people speaking about peace, hoping, praying for a better world. We all look forward to that time when we can say, now the lion is lying down with the lamb. No more strife in the world, no more total chaos that we see in the world today. And just turn on the news, and that's what comes about. We see that in front of us all the time. But then again, too, the world is in a lot of distress. There's something going on every single day. I think if we turn on the news, it's always going to be something stressful. It's never going to be anything peaceful. I think we have to get used to that idea. So we really, when I kind of turn on the news, I do it just to be informed, because if I get involved with what's happening in world affairs, it seems to me that it just never seems to end. But it really has, according to the Course in Miracles, it really all has come together. We already have that. We already have the love. It's time is not linear. Time is linear, and we're thinking in terms of the here and the now, and the concept of just one consciousness, as it is. That we're given to feel together with, the consciousness of love, which is really the only thing to feel. Then we have to get away from the belief that we are really becoming more and more involved or fearful of the world as it seems to be today. I guess it's strictly a projection of what we're seeing. Again, is it an outward picture of an inward condition? Are we seeing what really doesn't exist? Is it within ourselves that we are catering to the fear that we seem to feel a fear, the fear that we seem to perceive that seems to be happening outside of us is really occurring within. And we kind of, I'm trying to see that more and more clearly, that perhaps the more peace I begin to feel, the more love I begin to feel towards my brother, which I do feel. I mean, I don't need to find it. I know that it's there, but the more I'm aware of it, the more I can cherish that. Then perhaps those around us will become as we're intended to be, peaceful creatures of love, of God, of holiness, and that can never be infringed on. It is strictly up to us to determine really what we're perceiving and how we are extending our feelings of good feelings. We have to know the difference between what is good and what is bad. It seems to me when I look at the news, evil is good and good is evil. We don't seem to understand that there's really, what the difference is anymore. And I think we all have to come together recognizing that right now, what I truly believe is I think that what we're seeing is good against evil. That's really what it is, light against dark. And we just have to keep focusing on the light, on the love, the light. And I think light always wins out. Love always wins. Um, so, yeah. Right, Susan?
Oh, yeah. There is a lot of chaos all over the news constantly. Yeah, you said quite a bit. You're very wise. What I always say is the truth is always available to us, and the truth is so simple. Course in Miracles says that over and over. The truth is so simple. I mean, think of it. I mean, this is what I end each talk with. This is what I remember as often as possible. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. I mean, what does that mean? Only the love is real. It's a very, very simple truth, and all power, if we want peace, the only way that we can find peace is through complete forgiveness. All power of God, is available to us, but only when we are willing to completely forgive ourselves and our brothers. And it's not easy. It's simple because only love can bring us happiness, but it's not easy because the world is run on the egoic thought system. I was listening to a podcast about trauma, and I do find that psychology and how to release emotional trauma is very interesting, and important because I do believe in psychology. I remember the gentleman that was giving the podcast, he spoke about forgiveness, and he also said that we don't sometimes we don't need to let the other person off the hook. He said something like this. You don't always need to let the victimizer off the hook. You don't need to let the perpetrator off the hook. But that's not what A Course in Miracles says. A Course in Miracles says we do need to forgive the victimizer, not for their sake, but for our own. Because when we are keeping them accountable for their errors, we're not only hurting them, we're basically disconnecting ourselves from God. We're hurting ourselves by holding this other person accountable for his or her wrongdoing. We're basically holding on to guilt. We're holding on to grievances. We're holding on to resentment, and we're blocking ourselves from the love of God. So it is very important to let the other person off the hook. It is very important to not only forgive the other person, but to realize on a deep level the error never really occurred, because if it was negative, it's an illusion. A Course in Miracles says that over and over again, and it's just really important to not only understand that concept, but to live that concept to the best of our ability. You know what I thought was a very beautiful a very beautiful thought, a very beautiful line, a very beautiful sentiment. It was given by Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's wife, who is a devout, traditional Christian. And traditional Christianity, you know, again, aligns with A Course in Miracles in a lot of ways when it comes to forgiveness. I mean, again, traditional Christianity has a little different take on forgiveness, but there is commonality as well. And I actually love the fact that Erica Kirk said, you know, that she forgave the man, I think his name was Tyler Robinson, that assassinated her husband. And that's beautiful. I mean, it is. It's beautiful. And I've heard that before. You know, I remember once on the news there was a man whose son was murdered. And I heard him say on the news that he forgave the man who murdered his son. And when we can really do that, I mean, again, what Erica Kirk was saying is there has to be deeper meaning, you know, into the current in this current political situation. And I do believe that's of God, because when we can go into something that looks fear-based on the outside, and when we can learn to let it go, we can learn to forgive, and we can somehow tap into a deeper meaning. I mean, I think there's so much power in that, because A Course in Miracles tells us over and over again that death is not real. It's like, yes, I mean, sometimes the body dies. I mean, the truth is we are all going to die at some point. Nobody gets out of this world without dying. Our body will die, I should say, but the truth of who we are never dies. A Course in Miracles is very clear that death is not real, because the spirit and the soul lives on forever. And again, all our power is in forgiveness. And when we can forgive the people that seem apparently trigger us the most, that seem to apparently hurt us the most, there is so much power and beauty and grace in that. Any thoughts on that, Myrna?
Yeah, you know, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to bring that up. Erica Kirk's statement that I forgive, you know, I forgive him, the man that assassinated her husband. I thought that was really extraordinary as well, that she could bring herself to say that, to bring her, you know, to obviously she understands that doesn't want to feel unsurmountable pain. And I sort of recognize that when you really immediately can bring that forth, that forgiveness that the Course in Miracles stresses so strongly with, that that we do eliminate a certain amount of the pain. I'm not saying she's not going to feel pain, and she's going through a lot of strife and right now, I'm sure a lot of turmoil in what's going on. But at the same time, she's able to come to terms with the fact that she really does not want to feel that she is, you know, the executioner, so to speak, of the perpetrator. Whatever. I kind of thought that was extraordinary as well. And then I kind of wondered about myself, you know, if I lost a child or lost a husband who was assassinated. You know, right now I'm saying that forgiveness is everything. It really is. And I've certainly experienced it in my own life, where I've begun to understand that forgiveness is everything, because to forgive the other person, you're really doing it for yourself. Letting the other person off the hook, as you put it, it's really something that you're bestowing to yourself, a peace that you're giving yourself, that definitely comes with that. I mean, there's no question about that. So it's a matter of, do I want, how do I eliminate the pain as much as I can? And forgiveness is the way. I just wondered, could I really be that benevolent if it were me? I say certainly. I've heard have a lot of practice. Certainly, we've been studying the Course in Miracles long enough, but I really kind of wondered about that myself. Uh, so it's interesting that you brought that up because I was thinking the very same thing. Uh, yeah, we need to realize, what is important and what's not important, and the importance of staying on the path of righteousness, the path of love, path of peace is something we have to truly desire and be willing to uh, understand that the ego has no place within our thought system if it's going to be so obtrusive and destructive. So I work at that, and that's what it takes. It takes work. It takes a feeling of accomplishment. So you want to keep going along those lines of 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 peace, happiness, joy, love. Those are all words that and thoughts and feelings that fall under the umbrella of love. And who doesn't want to feel loved and be loved, right, Susan?
That's right. That's right. Um, and Robert said here in the chat room, lack of forgiveness brings us pain, not the other. So when we choose to hold on to unforgiveness, when we choose to hold on to grievances, when we choose to see that other person as a sinner in our mind, basically what it does is it brings pain to us. Our energetic frequency becomes denser. That's what keeps us, you know, when we let the other person off the hook, not only are we letting them off the hook, more importantly, we're letting ourselves off the hook because, as Robert said in the chat room, the other was never on the hook. So we forgive not so much for them. I mean, do they benefit? In a way, I can tell, sense when the other person has forgiven me. So do I benefit from someone else's forgiveness? Yeah, in a way I do, but more importantly, I benefit. When I can forgive my brother, I'm the one that benefits. It's my energy is raising, my energetic vibration is becoming lighter and freer. I mean, our freedom is in our forgiveness. The three fastest ways to connect to heaven. What is heaven? I mean, heaven is within us. Heaven is a state of mind where we feel the truth of who we are. And that state of mind is always available to us. And the funny thing about it, you spoke about, is there work involved? I mean, there is a mental discipline. There is, A Course in Miracles calls it mind training. A Course in Miracles is teaching us to train our minds to focus on the love and the joy and the peace. Course in Miracles is teaching us to release the thoughts of the ego. So there is a discipline involved. It's not, for me, it's not so much about work. Like I notice when I was younger, I was always trying to work hard and accomplish things in the world. And my sense of self-worth was based on how hard I worked in the world. And I was a hard worker, and I accomplished a lot of my goals, but I think that was more ego. I mean, for me, in terms of what I'm yearning for now is to feel that peace, love, joy, and happiness of God as often as possible. For me, it's not about working harder. I guess it's just about, I mean, the expression says working smarter, but it's about remembering and recognizing the truth of who I am. And when I can remember the truth of who I am, it's usually when I'm not working harder, but I'm moving slower. And I guess I can feel more of a flow. It's less of a push, it's less of a struggle, and it's more of a flow. I'm remembering at each and every moment how much love is within me. And in order to do that, I need to stop myself from struggling and allow myself to slow down. Because that's something that I'm learning lately. I have this position right now where it's a freelance position. I'm constantly applying for jobs online when they pop up, brand ambassador positions. But I know sometimes I have a tendency to just get obsessed, and check my computer and my email all the time and apply for a job, apply for a job, apply for a job. And I just get so consumed with it. And I don't think that is really making me happy. I think what really makes me happy is when I can slow down and realize, that the only thing that matters is being fully present in the moment. And I will apply for jobs, but I'm not gonna like be on the computer 24/7 to watch for the jobs coming in. I need to slow down, allow the jobs to come to me, and if the flow continues, that's fine. And if not, I'll find something else that has more of a flow to it. So here, ooh, Dove shared in the chat room. He told me that I shared something well. Thank you. Thank you. My sense of self-worth is what I did in the world. And then he wrote from A Course in Miracles, the course so well, Dove. Thank you for sharing. Your worth is established by God, not by your doing and coming in this world. So my worth, thank you for sharing that. My worth is established by God. There's nothing I can do to make myself more worthy because my worth is established by God. I was created by God. I was created in God's image. I did not create myself. So there's nothing I need to do. There's nothing I need to prove. The only thing I really need to do is slow down and remember. And when I can slow down, when I can remember how valuable I am, what is mine will actually come to me. I don't have to go out and find it. I don't have to go out and grab it. I don't have to go out and chase after it. Have you ever noticed in life when you tend to chase after things, they're always beyond your reach. They're always kind of like running away from you, whether that be a person or a thing. Whenever I chase after things, I never manage to get what I want anyway. But when you can just slow down and lay back, you don't have to chase after things. It's more like what is yours will come to you. I think what is right comes to us not by working harder. What is right comes to us when we connect to the energy of love. When we connect to the truth of who we are, we just attract to us what is meant for us. Right, Myrna?
Yeah, that comes with experience. Learning that. So it's so true. You and I spoke last week about not attaching ourselves to the outcome of things. In other words, if we kind of just let things happen, let it come to us, but we discuss that, we it's so much more valuable because it works so much better. The slowing down, it's getting into the flow, and really what you're saying is very spiritual. It's very spiritually oriented, because to slow down and to recognize that, and to have the trust that what is rightfully yours will be yours, and there's no chasing after it that's it's going to make it happen. It's the idea that you're willing to say, okay, um, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to worry about what happens or what I should do or what I do, what I'm supposed to be doing. Let it come to you. And believe me, I've learned that. I've really come to that understanding. But I think, through the years, the more we attach ourselves to the truth, we can attach ourselves to the truth. Then the easier things do become. I find that to be so. And again, we have to let God help us with that. We have to be willing to let God into our life in order to help us determine really what it is that we need to do. And it's so much simpler than having to fight for something that the ego tells you that you have to strive for. So what you said is really true. I mean, I've learned that through experience, really, rather than just speaking it. I mean, I've understood that that's a very good. If you can learn that and stick by it, and keep up the faith, it does work out in the end. Everything works out in the end anyway. It really does. So, yeah.
Well, I am going to end today with the paragraph that Dove just pointed out. Dove just suggested that I read chapter 4. This is in Right Teaching and Right Learning. It's the 7th paragraph, exactly from the paragraph that Dove just quoted. Very, very beautiful. And what Jesus writes is, your worth is not established by teaching or learning. Your worth is established by God. As long as you dispute this, everything you do will be fearful, particularly any situation that lends itself to the belief in superiority and inferiority. Teachers must be patient and repeat their lessons until they are learned. I am willing to do this because I have no right to set your learning limits for you. Again, nothing you do or think or wish or make is necessary to establish your worth. This point is not debatable except in delusions. Your ego is never at stake because God did not create it. Your spirit is never at stake because he did. Any confusion on this point is delusional, and no form of devotion is possible as long as this delusion lasts. Well, thank you, Dove. Thank you for suggesting that I read that, because that really touched my heart and it is so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And I love you all so much. I love you, Myrna. I love you, Dove. I love you, Lynn. I love you, Robert. Thank you for being here with me today. And Marcy, as A Course in Miracles says, nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. The only thing that's real is the love. And I will now return the microphone to Lynn.
Thank you so much, Susan, Michel. Thank you, Myrna, and everyone who joined us today. It's been a wonderful Tuesday here at ACIM Gather for A Course in Miracles. And if you're watching this on YouTube, just click the like and subscribe, and you'll get more of this wonderful content. And we will be back this evening at 7 p.m. Eastern for Finding Your Inner Guide. So thank you all. We'll see you all later. Oh, and next week's Sandy Levy Levine will be here again to talk about the holy relationship. So she'll be doing her second half of the holy relationship talk next Tuesday evening. All right. Love you all.